All right, Henry, you're recording.
Okay, well, good evening, everyone. So let's start out. Let's take the roll call if we can go around. This is Henry Fair and the coordinator moderator.
And Kristen Johnson, if you'll just.
I'm here.
Jason Ralph. Jason, you're still on mute, I think. Yeah, still on mute. We can see you, so we know you're here. I'm going to keep going with the roll call. Lauren Weinstock.
Here.
And Audible. Jocelyn Leska.
I'm here.
And Susan Marcus.
Here.
Great. I think that is the whole crowd. That's everybody you've got.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, Jason.
Yeah, it is, Jason.
I'm here.
All right.
For some reason, my video isn't working. Can anybody see my picture?
No.
No.
Yeah. Okay, well, let's proceed anyway. First item on the agenda has to do with the approval of the minutes for October 22nd and November 19th. I've read both of them. I don't have a problem with either one. If we can have some discussion, or we can entertain a motion to improve it. Approve both of them, rather.
So Henry, I think folks are having some difficulty hearing you as well.
Okay. Let me see. Not on mute. Now, can everybody hear me okay?
Not great. You're somewhat muffled, but you can be heard if you stay close to the microphone.
Yeah, the microphone's embedded in the screen.
Just since we can't see you, you can go right up to it. It's all right.
I hear you. I hear you, Henry.
Okay. It's a new machine. It's an HP all-in-one because my other machine blew up into a million pieces. But those things happen. It was 12 years old. This one here is quite nice, but it's just getting used to a couple of the features. So is there any discussion on the minutes of the previous two meetings?
Well, I just have one small, really small thing, which is that some of the people in the list of attendees are referred to by their first names and their last names, and other people are only there as their first names. That would be my only, otherwise I thought they were fine.
Okay.
We'll make that adjustment, Susan.
Yeah.
And what I'm sure happened is the young lady who was doing the meeting minutes was working from the screen and saw Henry, for example, and decided that must be his whole name. But we'll make that adjustment.
Okay. So do you have a motion to approve?
Sure, I'll move to approve them.
Any second? All in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
Okay, the minutes are approved. Item 4, correspondence and public comment. Is there any correspondence or public comment?
There is no correspondence, but you do have a member of the public in the audience. Sean, if you'd like to address the committee, now's the opportunity on the agenda to do so. Just raise your hand and I'll bring you into the panel. Sean would prefer to observe tonight, Henry.
Okay. So item 5, discussion, coordination with other committees being 5A. Do we have an update on that?
Yeah, so the letter to department heads and committee chairs went out this week. So I haven't heard anything back from any of the department heads or committees. It's been kind of a crazy week with a snowstorm. But they all have received the invitation that was talked about at the October meeting. And I do expect you're going to start hearing from folks probably after the start of the new year.
Okay, that's good. Any other items on 5A? Susan, did we ever hear back from our colleague,
No,
Jay? You were supposed to get in touch with somebody about getting a dump of the database?
yes, he was supposed to go back to the Department of State and get a new dump on the database. I was also trying to get him to do something that might look like a data dictionary, but it might be that I misunderstood. It might be that it's just, I don't know. I'm still a little confused about how much work he's done on this database and how much is just straight from the Department of State. But I haven't pushed him very hard, and I also haven't heard anything more.
Yeah. Well, with the holidays coming up, it's going to be hard, you know?
Well, I could have done more probably in this month to corral him, but I just didn't.
Is this Jay Newsom's database?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's actually just the Department of State.
Yeah, but it doesn't get updated apparently by the Department of State very often. It's not clear to me how that thing works, but it did look interesting. And I'll tell you, I was looking at the census data on businesses in South Kingstown. It's really a pretty small universe. It's only 2,800 businesses. There are 2,800 registered firms in South Kingstown. There's just not a lot of firms. So, if you get rid of the little offices and stuff, you're really only talking about, boy, probably 1,500 businesses. It's not a huge number. And I think Jay's got something there. I think there is something to be said for having a database that we can update and sort of keep track of what's going on with businesses, startups, business closures, that kind of thing would be useful. So
I did have the opportunity to apply to become a business for a little group to become a 501c3 with a little group I belong to in Providence. So I just went through the process of registering them with the Department of State. It wasn't straightforward. But I do think it must be they must keep those. I mean, they knew that my group had been out of commission for a year and we were coming back, so they do have some information.
yeah.
So I think it should be possible to get that.
Yep.
But I haven't worked on it very much at all.
Yeah, my point is it's a small universe, and because it's a small universe, it's probably manageable. And because it's manageable, we could probably do some interesting things to learn more about what's going on and happening to and with the business community here in town. I think this is an area ripe for some improvement.
Okay, well, I'll try to get Jay to help us out here.
We don't really have anybody in town hall who does this. The closest thing would be the clerk's office because of the licenses, but that's, we're not going to get them to manage a database on top of that.
So Rob, I just want to add that Tom is doing rapid cycle process change with small businesses in town, with several small businesses actually on a consultant basis. My husband is Tom, so sorry.
Yeah.
It might be worth having a discussion with him or having him come in and discuss that with us, what that means to small businesses and how they're trying to flip on a dime, all different kinds. I mean, he's certainly doing construction management, but he's also veering off into some restaurants and other small businesses, trying to help them make a rapid cycle change to, address the COVID restrictions and also try to stay in business. So I don't know if anybody's interested in that, but that's something he's doing as a private consultant.
Maybe first he should come talk to the EDC.
He's very active with the EDC.
Oh,
Well,
is-
I suspect members of the EDC. Excuse me, Susan, I misspoke. I suspect members of the
oh,
EDC.
okay.
He's worked with Alex quite a bit and Larry quite a bit on identifying small businesses that really need rescue, and basically going in as in some cases, a non-paid consultant, and in most cases, a paid consultant at some level.
So-
Just doing a rapid cycle change to try to address the COVID restrictions and get them at least up on their feet and functional. But so maybe that's an EDC issue, right? Maybe
Yeah.
they need to have him speak before the group rather than individual members.
Yeah, the how-to is definitely an EDC thing. The question I'd have for Tom, for sort of us, would be, you know, what is he hearing from businesses in terms of information support, or, you know, what are they not getting out of town hall that they'd like to see? And
Yeah.
often is he hearing that same complaint? It's a way to sort of collect data from the businesses, perhaps.
I can't speak for him, that's for sure, but I can certainly repeat the words to some extent that I've heard around the house. And a lot of his words, some have not been so nice, but a lot of his words have focused around unnecessarily restrictive regulatory
Yeah.
language. And so, you know, whether or not that's something the township can do anything about, or if that's a state thing or whatever.
So I'm
yeah.
going to comment briefly on that, because that is a good place for us to have some real data collection, because I think this is one of those areas where impression really dominates the policy world. The narrative that businesses are hurt by overregulation by government is just rampant. And yet when I deal with businesses, what I find is we move faster than they do quite often.
Yeah.
We, for example, have been trying to give away state money on this Take It Outside grant.
Oh, we have to get him in.
And chasing people.
Yeah. He's
to
been
get them
screaming
to
about
spend
that.
money.
So there's definitely a disconnect somewhere here, because that is certainly a conversation he's almost having with the walls at this point. So there's a disconnect between what he's hearing from the businesses and what they're hearing from the town. So this is a really, I wish he was here. Right now he's actually at a meeting with several small businesses. I wish he was here. So maybe this is a meeting you and, I don't know, is Larry still the chair of?
He is.
So maybe
In
Henry.
perpetuity.
But I will share with you. I will share with you that we send an email every single day to the people who've been given grants, and we've gone 30, 45 days. And
so maybe Tom, Henry, Larry, and you need to have a powwow in your office with a face-to-face and some real hard conversation about, come on now, you know, we got this going. Let's go. It may be that.
It's too late now. Today was the last day for any business to get their stuff. Folks have missed. That's why I'm so keen on it today, because we've got people who we've been telling for 45 days, get us your invoice and we'll pay.
Yeah. So it almost sounds to me like it was a communication breakdown.
No,
and they
it sounds to
turned
me more like it's easier when you don't do what you have to do to blame somebody else, to be honest with you. But that's,
Well, actually, I'd agree a little about that too. I mean, it is this common knowledge by the myth in town is that everything is so difficult and the town is so hard to deal with and whatever.
Yeah.
But I don't think that's necessarily the case. I mean, I can't give the example that Rob just gave, but when you push people, it turns out, well, they actually haven't done it for a long time, or they just heard from others that it's that way, or there's a lot of mythology.
So I can give you a perfect example of a restaurateur who has done exactly what he was told to do and has used Tom, and that's Perry at Matunic Oyster Bar. You know, the third floor, the deck, let's get it done. Let's make it happen. You know, he's gone before the town. He's done all the right thing. He's gotten his permits approved. I think that he's a model for listening. You know, he listened to the people around him. Maybe that's something we need to talk about.
I mean, it's a matter of public record because the meetings occurred on Zoom.
Right.
Harry came and he said, I want to do something unusual. I want you to let me put a rail around my upper floor on the roof, and we're
Right.
going to use that as a temporary dining space. The permit was issued within days.
Yes.
He did the work himself within days. When the
Yep.
permit was issued, he was told, you are avoiding all regulatory review. We're giving you permission to do this temporarily. If you ever want to make this permanent, you're going to have to come back and go through a process. To complain about now having to come back and go through a process would not be an appropriate response to that.
No, but he did do it, and he got approved, and he's done. He's got his permanent approval, and he's in great shape. I mean, did he complain a little bit about it? Of course. Who's
So
not going to complain?
His temporary permit terminated on December 8th.
Yeah.
If he got his permanent permissions within 10 days of that, I'm sorry, I don't see the government failure.
No, I don't see the government failure. And I don't know if this is the right conversation in the right committee, or if there's something we can do to assist, I don't know if this is the right conversation in the right committee, but I think that there are some small businesses who are listening, who are reaching out, who are calling out for help, and who are receptive. I don't know, is there anything we could do in terms of teaching businesses how to be receptive, in terms of guiding them to receptivity? Kristen, you know a lot more about this than I do. Is there, you and Lauren, frankly, with the change theory and with approaching individuals about change and planning and how we work in emergency circumstances in a regulatory world? I don't know about those things. I just know what I hear around the house.
So I'm going to come back at this one more time, and I'm sorry, I'm going to stop because this isn't, I'm not a member of the committee, but I am going to say one more thing about it because I do think this is an important area. I do think that the mythology around the difficulty of working with government bureaucracy is a huge issue, not just here, but a lot of places. And I think the counter to mythological information is solid, fact-based, observation-based information. So
is that our role, Rob? Is that our role, to produce statistical information about how quickly the town has flipped in relationship to COVID and put out something?
So this committee,
could that be our role?
This committee has said that it will look at questions where data collection might make a difference to, the quality of public service or what have you. So I think that this is an area where there might be a project, there might be something to be designed to collect information and provide something other than narratives, other than stories. Maybe it's just stories, but it's stories that are organized. There may be a way to get our heads around information in this area that's useful. I don't know what that looks like.
Could you look at something just, I mean, I don't know exactly what the specifics are, but like from the time somebody applies for the permit to the amount of, and you can measure exactly like the case with Perry, like he applied for the permit on Monday and by Friday he was building the rail on his third floor of his property. I mean, that's a 4-day turnaround. So you could actually collect those data and report those out to share them with the community, to say, listen, like to the business owners, like, listen, you apply for a permit, you want to do some work. This is the average turnover between when people first apply and when they get the permit and when the work can begin, or, whatever the thing that you want to measure, you can measure that and then share that out with business owners so they know, like, oh, it's going to be a 4-month painful experience. This actually could take me 3 days or whatever the case is.
Yeah,
we wouldn't that do something, sorry, Rob, wouldn't that do something for the social emotional health of the entire community if they saw a positive turnaround from their township regulatory bodies? Sorry, Rob, excuse me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I think the other thing that you could do is if there are, and I'm not sure how relevant this is in an emergency permitting structure, right? A temporary permit. But you could also look at, for those that might be significantly longer in that turnaround process, where are the things that are holding it back? Are there common choke points in the process so that you could have almost frequently, Henry, we see you,
Yeah, I went with another camera. So go ahead.
So one of the things that also, it might be too small of an end to actually have any sort of meaningful data on, but if there are, you know, one or two people who have gotten stuck at the same point, what is that choke point? So that also could be disseminated with the average turnaround is this. Here are some of the factors or a set of factors that are frequently, I don't want to call them roadblocks, but choke points or areas in which delays might occur if a particular process isn't followed on that part of the applicant or something else. There might be an ability to even embed some of that information. And so I do think I like the average time to permitting just because I think that kind of information is really useful in disrupting narratives. I mean, people do like to talk about what happened 15 years ago as the current experience quite often.
Right.
And you get an overgeneralization of worst case scenarios too, because that is kind of a reality. And so if there is an opportunity to identify some of those areas where clarity or increased information might facilitate expeditious response, that would be useful.
Yep. We do have the building permit turnaround data. Those are all collected. It's all online. It's all very, very efficient. So that's just a matter of producing the report and publishing it. Choke points is a different problem. Choke points tend to be pretty idiosyncratic, but that's, it's somebody fails to get the check doesn't clear. Choke points tend to be payment, and they tend to be long reviews because of peculiar requirements on the project.
Yeah.
And might be somewhat protected information too, right? Like financial circumstances might be withholding the ability to move forward. Yeah,
but I mean, we could produce a report saying, we find that the problem is quite often just payment. So please make sure that, you have sufficient funds in your account before ready.
It happens.
yeah.
Rob, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Beautiful. So I switched to a new microphone and a new camera. Oh.
Yeah, and you look better than usual too.
Yeah.
It does wonders for you. You're thinner.
Yeah,
You got
well,
air.
I changed the light in this room too.
Yeah.
So,
I
okay.
need that camera.
So, okay. 5B.
Well, wait, before we
Oh,
leave
go ahead.
this, so is anything going to happen? Rob, are you going to put in a request to the building?
Yeah, the building permit guy is coming to meet with you at your next meeting. That's my big note here.
Okay.
Get the
Okay.
building inspector in. Yeah.
Okay. With
All
this
right.
information in hand,
I'm sorry?
with this information, will he know that this is one of the things that we're most?
I'm going to talk to him about this conversation.
Okay, okay, good.
And stoppages, like things that are causing the stops. Like if there was some kind of non-confidential common stoppages.
Yep.
That would be really, I would think, very helpful.
Are we ready to proceed to 5B? Employee engagement survey and questionnaire.
Yeah, I'm still working through this. I'm starting to think that I'm going to end up with a suboptimal solution, which is okay, but I think I'm going to end up with just a questionnaire, which is a subset of the questions that I had sent around previously. Just a question of money and time. I think I'm going to end up just putting something out there and starting the process. The first survey would be nice to get it just right. I don't know that we will, and just getting people used to the idea that they can provide feedback is probably an institutional step forward. So I'm going to just take it.
All right. 5C, tax calculator tool.
Yeah, so this is a live issue again. I know that members of council are interested in this tool now because they've seen me now 3 years in a row produce a hypothetical household budget. This year's was sort of more summary than usual, but it did capture a lot of attention this year among members of the council. And I think that I want to hand the tool over to the town council. So I spent a good chunk of yesterday and a bit of today looking at it again. I think I've got most of the bugs worked out of it, and I think we're gonna see it go through the council. If the council finds it useful in the next couple of days and doesn't break it, or the next few weeks and doesn't break it, then we may come back to the committee with a version to go public. It's still too complicated. I still have not been able to find a visual basic software programmer who'd take this on for me, but
Did you get a chance to talk to Dan?
I sent an email. I didn't speak to him.
Yeah, I don't know what's going on over there either. I mean, I went by the high school today and the parking lot was empty. So then back to virtual learning again.
They're virtual today anyway.
Yeah.
They're-
Sad.
They're live tomorrow though. They're in person tomorrow.
Yeah. Okay. Item D, COVID-19 related data needs.
So I had mentioned the last time we met that our initial review of the data were not showing any upticks in sort of the things that we thought we would likely see as upticks: increased domestic disputes, suicides, alcohol-related incidents. We haven't, and we still haven't. The month since the data I was describing to you also did not have any marked change. Now, arrests are down. We think arrests are down just because people aren't out and about. They're not getting arrested because they're not in public. But other than that, we just are not seeing significant changes in the profile. Now, actually, that suggests something I hadn't thought of until I just said those two things together. Arrests are down, but the data are level, which actually implies an increase in the rate.
Interesting.
I got to go back and look at that.
Yeah. Just a couple of questions, Rob.
Yep.
Is the healthcare system in town, is it stressed?
No, we're not hearing from anybody right now that the hospital is beyond capacity or anything like that. In fact, when the state was saying that they were at capacity, we weren't hearing that from South County Hospital.
Okay, so the number of COVID cases inside the hospital is in the teens now. Do we know?
I don't know. I'm sure Craig Stanley or somebody knows. I don't know.
Yeah. Because I would be wondering, how many cases would they bring in from other towns if they have capacity and so on.
It's definitely regionalized, Henry. It's definitely regionalized. Everybody's sticking pretty closely as much as possible to regional rules. So, unless a hospital goes on diversion, and the only one I've heard of recently is Lifespan going on diversion pretty regularly. SoCo, not so much. So I think, if you belong at Kent, you're going to Kent. If you belong to SoCo, you're going to SoCo. And same with Yale, New Haven, Westerly. Those are my understandings.
Okay.
And I'm not staff at Westerly, but I'm credentialed at the other three. So I'm sort of familiar with the data, not totally, sort of.
Yeah. How's South Road School going?
It's going well. It was closed today, but it's been going well.
Amazing. Yeah, it's so fast. It's so easy. It's a great place to be working at and volunteering at, and really just an amazing setup. And I have high hopes for the vaccination clinic there as well.
So that's
going very, very well.
Yeah, I went in, there was no wait, and results in about 10 hours.
Yeah, well-oiled machine.
So I will point out that there was a 3-day government turnaround to get the site up and running.
That's an important point.
And government is reporting results without a wait 10 hours after having taken the test.
I know, it's amazing. It's amazing.
So I would just love to see that school, in addition to testing, but actually performing inoculations.
Yeah,
It's
we're
going
gonna,
to.
Or
It's
just
going
bang
to.
them right out, you know?
Yeah, yeah, that's coming. That's coming. I go in Saturday both for my immunization and to train the trainer. So it's that'll be my rule Saturday day.
Have you been
Um,
immunized yet?
I go Saturday morning for my immunization. And
Oh.
yes, I'm scared to death.
Well, you know, the last
Larry, have
meeting,
you? Have you been immunized yet?
I think I'd be in the next batch because of my
Yeah.
age. Okay.
Weinstock, how about you? Are you immunized yet?
I will be, they're telling us mid-January because
Okay.
we're a little, we're patient facing, but we're not patient facing with the highest risk patients.
Well, if I'm not here next month,
Yeah, then maybe I'll rethink my mid-January inoculation.
I'm a little nervous. I'm a weenie anyways by nature, so I'm a little nervous, but I get my immunization and then I'm literally going to turn around right then and there and do train the trainer. So it's fine. It's
so that's
all
at
fine.
South Road?
No, I'll go out to disaster management for that
Okay.
because that's where the training center is. But South Road to the left of the testing
That's
center.
correct.
So it'll be left. You'll come in, you'll go right for testing, you'll go left, boom, and keep on going. So you never come back into the hot zone.
Right.
So I think it's an amazing opportunity to use that facility. It hurt my heart to think about ripping it down. Sorry, just a side note. And
But
because
they're only gonna
look
rip
what it's
down
done.
the wing that you're not in now. It's not a wing that
It-
we're using.
It has served a life-saving purpose. That's
Yes, it
what
has.
South Road School has done. It has served a life-saving purpose. And it's been an amazing opportunity and experience to be a part of that. So I just think South Kingstown did a really good thing. That's what I think. So
Yeah.
We're happy
That's-
about it.
That school for me is very nostalgic in the sense that my mother opened up the cafeteria in that school when the school opened. She passed away in July, but she was a cafeteria worker in the school system and they sent her to South Road to open up the school cafeteria. I didn't actually go there, but my mother was there for a number of years and then went to the junior high, which is Curtis Corner now. So it's a little nostalgic, you know? But anyway, so you may be seeing us. You'll be standing there with needle in hand.
you won't know me because I'm completely covered up.
Good luck.
I was unrecognizable to my husband, which I thought was interesting. He came in for a test and he said, "I heard my wife is here." And I was like, wow, unrecognizable. So
All righty.
yeah.
Okay, so this brings us to item E, other items of interest. So, Jason.
Yeah.
Jason, hello.
He's there.
I'm here.
Okay. Did you ever resolve getting some of those statistics you and I were talking about late last month, early this month? Did you check out those websites that we were talking about?
Well, yeah, those are just summary October enrollment figures. I was working with Linda on a more complicated piece of data that kind of just got dropped, and thought maybe this committee would be interested in picking it back up. It was just more, it was more detailed data on where students went when they left, where they came from. There's exit codes that they put in for every student at the end of each year, and she was going through them and kind of categorizing them as the number of students who who left for another public school or left for a private school or left to go out of state or graduated. And so we were comparing those across years, and I was cross-referencing them with housing, with the housing market to see if there was any correlation. We found a couple of interesting things, but you know, things got crazy and that kind of dropped off. So it might be, I can put together what we did previously and see if the committee is interested in picking it up again.
Yeah. So do you think you can put a presentation together for the next meeting?
Yeah, sure.
So we can understand that, because one of the things that I did is after our conversation, I went out to the Rhode Island Department of Education's website and they started drilling down into some of their data. And it looked like they had some of the stuff you were talking about,
Yeah.
I just don't know how granular it is.
Did you look on Fred?
No.
Okay, that's frequently requested educational data. And it's like they have a lot of spreadsheets of information, but you kind of have to know what you're looking for before you go. So if there's something education wise that you're looking for, let me know and I might be able to find it there for you. But usually those RIE data sets only go back, they'll go back to like 2018 or 2019, if you're lucky. So if you're looking for things that are happening now, it's not much of a help.
Yeah.
But you can get long-term trends out of that data. If you search for mobility on that, like who would know to do that, you'll get some of that data as to what the average mobility is of students moving in and out of each district. So that's kind of interesting to see, but I think they go back to 2018 as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll put together what I've gone through over the past couple of years.
Maybe we can figure out a way to get a little bit more granular in some of that stuff and do some extracts.
And I don't want to stress out the school department, especially right now.
No, I'm saying is.
But so if we want something, we have a good reason to ask for it, then I'm happy to ask for it. But we should have like a detail, like we want this exact data so that they can just type a query into their database and send it out to us.
Right. All right. The other piece of data that's coming out, the census data is due out 12/31 by law. But then again, the Trump administration doesn't exactly follow laws. There's suggestions. So, but it is due. The reports were due on the president's desk by December 31st. So it'd be interesting to see whether or not the census loaded all of their websites with the new data and the canvassing they did in 2020. So that's something to look at when it comes out. It's interesting to see, what kind of population shifts have happened. And there's also information out there like mean income and all that other stuff.
I think they're in the process of releasing the 2019 ACS data as well.
Yeah, they may be.
I went on like a week ago. I went onto the census website and signed up for every listserv they have, so I get like 20 emails a day. And it looks from those that they're starting to roll out data from the most recent ACS.
I was yesterday and got some 19 data.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Yeah, if we need something, I do have a contact there. I worked for the Census Bureau for 6 months in the office in Providence, and some of the career civil servants, I know a couple of them that are quite conversant on that data. So if we need to reach out, I still have all their contact information. Okay.
Sounds good.
Anybody else have an item of interest?
I do. I'm
Where are you? Oh, there she is.
sorry, chatty night tonight. I'm in the midst of writing a grant in collaboration with the emergency room at South County Hospital for I don't know if you're aware of sexual assault nurse examiners and the training that is required. It's pretty substantial training. And one of the issues that has occurred in the program is the sustainability of having a sane certified nurse on call, because the registered nurse is not reimbursable. So we're going to be targeting nurse practitioners who are reimbursable. And South County Hospital is very excited about this, because not having a forensic nurse available who's reimbursable and who can perform the appropriate forensic examination results in a delay in the emergency room. And it's more common than I expected, and their data is somewhat startling, but it's a little bit proprietary, so I'm going to keep it to myself. And so I'm working with Women and Infants Lifespan, SoCo, and Kent and Care New England to gather some of that data up to support the grant. The grant is due in 2/7. I'll probably approach the town council for a very, very brief letter of support, primarily because of the university, which is where a fair number of these assaults occur. So I just wanted to let you know that I'm I'm at that. That's something I'm doing. So I'll bring more information back, as it's currently not funded by Trump's administration. It has been funded in the past by Obama's administration, and it is anticipated that Biden will fund it in the 2021 budget year.
Yeah.
So they put out the call for the SANE HRSA grant. It's a HRSA grant a couple of weeks ago. So I just wanted to let you know I was up to that.
Okay, do you anticipate potentially putting together an advisory board?
An advisory board to advise what exactly?
To advise you on where you're going with this?
To
I
help me
could
write the,
I could think of a half a dozen people. You know,
yeah,
I've been around it long enough, and my daughter's been in that. Mary Rhoda, I mean, there's a whole list.
yeah, I would think that I could use any and all of that assistance. The foolish thing came out 2 weeks ago, and it's due 2/7. And I actually work full time. I have a job. So it's a little bit, it's kind of overwhelming. The university did give me a grant writer, but if there is contacts or people who might be willing to support me with the research. I have some already that I think is compelling, and because I work for a university in Connecticut, I'll have to include Yale, New Haven, and Bridgeport. Yale, New Haven, I'm all set with. Bridgeport and Bacchus, I have to reach out to them. Those SANE programs that have existed have collapsed in the state of Rhode Island. So Day One was one of them, and Women and Infants is the other, because the registered nurse doesn't want to be on call for no pay and then work for 4 to 6 hours
Sure.
conducting a forensic exam with no pay. And hospitals can't have a SANE certified nurse on duty in a hospital in a med-surg role or in a specialty unit role and then yank that nurse off a unit for no reimbursement. It's not fiscally sound. So the program collapses. But if you take a reimbursable provider who can bill for the forensic exam, and that's the nurse practitioner level, it gives some fiscal soundness to the program. So, and this would be a training program that we'll run in a long distance manner, in a remote long distance manner.
Okay,
So that's what I'm up to.
all right, very good. Anybody else?
All right. So a nice quick meeting tonight.
It's got to
And
be the
I
weather
appreciate it. I tell
problem.
you, I appreciate it. It's been a brutal month, so.
Okay.
To come back to the committee next week with all sorts of, or next month with all sorts of excitement, though, after everybody's had a chance to sort of rest and recuperate. So,
Just a couple of minor questions. Has the new
Sure.
council been sworn in?
yes,
They have. All right, when I was walking by a newsstand the other day, there was like a flurry of things that they voted on that had to do with the old council. And I said, I looked at it and I said, oh, what are they doing? Repealing all the executive orders or whatever? But I didn't pick up the paper and read it.
yeah, I don't know. You know, newspapers sometimes write things to fill up space, and it looks like it's a big deal, but it's just filling up space. I don't know.
Just hooey.
There was nothing all that interesting that's happened in the last month or two.
All right. Okay, next meeting date and agenda items. So next meeting day would be the 4th Thursday, 7:30 of January. And at least one agenda item. So Jason, if you can put your presentation together, I would be interested in looking at that. And also, I think we're going to have a guest speaker, right, Rob?
Yes.
Okay. And
Is it 7 or 7:30?
7.
Claire, okay.
Okay.
I heard you say 7:30, so.
And what's the date? Is it the 4th Thursday or the 3rd Thursday?
4th Thursday of December. I mean, I'm
The-
sorry,
the-
of January.
the
28th.
22nd. No,
28th,
is that right?
Yeah,
28th.
if it's the 4th, it's the 28th.
I will be a hot mess by then because the grant's due the following week.
Yes, you're right. 28th.
28th, right?
Yes,
correct.
7:30.
7.
7 o'clock.
7.
Okay, and I guess I should be on the agenda to see whether I have anything to say about Jay Newsom's database.
Oh, yes, yes.
And that will also make me do something.
Okay.
Did you say 7:30?
Jason, 7 o'clock. 1900 hours.
That's better.
1900, yes.
Oh, God. All right. If there isn't anything else, can I get a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
That was either a motion or an exuberant second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay. And this meeting is officially adjourned at 7:52.
Wow.
And everybody have a great holiday.
You too.
Yeah,
Yeah.
everybody have a
Thank you.
great, safe, healthy
Happy New Year.
holiday.
Yeah,
Happy New Year.
New
Take
Year.
care all.
thank you very much, everyone.
Good night.
Good night.
Right.